Hey everybody, I want to read this paragraph from the Forbes article of what is EOS and what is EOSIO. And it's in the EOS disadvantages section. It has the bullet point centralization. It says the delegated proof of stake model depends on stakeholders' voting power. The voting power is determined by the number of tokens held by each stakeholder. Lower voter turnout and a disproportionate distribution of tokens among stakeholders could create further centralization. In other words, having so few stakeholders making decisions could potentially undermine EOS integrity as the decentralized platform and cryptocurrencies. So I think that that's important for a lot of reasons. For one, that basically means that EOS is stakeholder capitalism. And that's kind of a buzzword, and surprisingly enough, the people who started using it and as a way to describe a new system that was being built, implemented, and structured on a global scale is the World Economic Forum. And people like Klaus Schwab and Harald and those types of people are openly saying that a new system is coming, that you will own nothing, you'll be happy, you won't be able to eat any meats, all this type of crazy stuff. And then they're saying that they're basically going to use an infrastructure like EOS to set that up. And so initially this is a very good potential system, and then you can see that, like the cons described, it could potentially be taken over. Maybe that was its intention all along. But you have to remember too that the reason that this will is a good excuse for allowing it to go on, even though it would disproportionately affect everybody based on stakeholders, is everybody had a fair chance to invest in it, because the open ICO did a Dutch auction, over a whole year, distributed tokens every day, the same way that Google did, and stuff like that. And then, obviously there was billboards in New York during the ICO and things, and so people in America, even though Block One ended up getting a fine for somehow allowing U.S. investors to have access to the ICO, we still seen American investors invest in it, in EOS. So there won't be any opportunity to say, oh, this wasn't fair or whatever. And this is according to them. Like, obviously we can see if you were not fortunate enough to get EOS or anything, which it's surprisingly at ICO prices you can get during the year. If you were buying on an exchange, this is like where it was, like. But this is becoming more and more evident that EOS is stakeholder capitalism. So the more EOS that you own, the more influence that you'll have in the world. And because there's only a limited amount of EOS, and obviously more compared to something like Bitcoin, but they're still going to be gobbled up. And especially at these prices, if you can afford a few, you're going to set yourself up for a very beneficial time. And then we see other things where crypto lending services and exchanges and everybody is going down and losing money, and the bear market is taking everybody with it, and people who thought that they were going to be financially free are now not. Well, there's going to be a lot more people who think that they are, and it turns out that they're not also, because this game is going to be played off of stakeholder capitalism. And if you don't have any stake, if you don't have anything you're holding, what are you going to capitalize? Like, nothing will have any value if you don't have any stake. That's capitalism. Literally just means the capital, the excess money from your expenses in business or whatever. And so they're literally just setting up what we have in the digital space and transferring everything to themselves to this tiny little conglomerate who will be, it'll be like monumentally more of a chasm between like serfs and kings of like the Dark Ages and the Middle Ages. Like that will be like a tiny little amount compared to like the gap that's about to be created for disparity and wealth inequality and all that stuff that we hear about is about to literally become unattainable. You'll never be able to move up in mobility. That's being completely shut off. You won't have any social mobility, any ability to move up the socioeconomic ladder, especially if you don't have any EOS or Bitcoin or anything like that. And you know, that's basically where we're at. And I just see EOS and Bitcoin basically being the only option to be able to avoid that, and you'll still have plenty of issues going on with other stuff. So just want to put that out there. That's why we have EOS. And if you got EOS, I mean, you're in the best position that you can be. We're in real deep trouble as a globe with everything going on. So just want to put that out there. Staffel Baker out.